1460 WMBA Ambridge, and also on 99.3 FM.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. Guess what? We have a new pope. Maybe Trump knew all along the pope was going to be from America when he put out that AI picture of himself. Maybe he'll even take credit for the pope. Trump was quoted today as saying after the new pope was elected, the conclave elected the first American pope. That's never happened before. Many people are saying that I'm responsible. I'm not sure, but probably. Maybe it was my tariff policy on Italy. Now, even the Pope is made in America. That's from Donald Trump. Would you believe me if I said that right? Or it's actually it's a fake quote. I'm kidding, guys. It's a fake quote. Trump didn't actually say that. But we really do have a new Pope, and he's from America, specifically Chicago. So instead of a black pope like I predicted, we get a white American pope from the city of Chicago. We're gonna have more to talk about the pope on our second segment, I promise. So much to talk today. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm really good. We were talking about the Pirates before. Haven't won a game since the last time I was even on air.
Yes.
The curse that supposedly happened. So Mark, the fan Mark Wood, I guess he's doing better.
Yes.
He's not okay. He is. I think he took his first steps. That's good. But then on over the weekend against the Padres, we had an usher beat up a fan in front of women and children.
Yeah.
And the fan is spitting blood on the usher, kind of a biohazard situation. Then the usher takes his belt off and beats the fan with his belt. Don't tell me this took place in the right field stands, right behind Roberto Clemente, the wall. Please don't tell me that. Is this part of the curse? What are we going to say? Is anything going to happen over this? I guess the usher is suspended, but...
Yeah, there was no charges either way up to this point, as far as I know, and the usher did get suspended. So that's...
I don't know. If he spit on the usher before he started throwing punches, you spit on someone, that's assault, man. You get whatever's coming to you.
I do believe there was spit first, and then the guy threw punches, and then the guy spit again, and then he threw more punches.
He loaded up with blood after. Yeah.
And then he spit 3 different times, I counted, and then the third time was when the guy took his belt off.
Can you imagine if that happened during COVID? Maybe we should bring back masks. That'll solve everything. Okay, a lot to talk about today. We're going to begin the show by spending the entire first segment, however, on the 46th and 47th president. One of those presidents, he had an eventful week so far and just signed a new trade deal with the United Kingdom. It was announced today. Is it still too early to say if the tariffs are working, audience? Anyway, the other president, 46, well, he sat down with his first interview since he left office. And you're probably wondering, wow, which outlet was it, Joe? Could it have been Fox News? Probably not. CNN, MSNBC? Was it ABC? Well, if you guessed any of those, you're wrong. You're so wrong that you're not even in the right country. In fact, you're not even in the right hemisphere. Because for some reason, former President Joe Biden sat down with the British Broadcasting Agency, the BBC. So let's cover that story first. So in his first interview post-presidency to the BBC, Joe Biden said he bowed out of the 2024 election to, quote, pass the torch to the next generation. Well, Joe, that next generation took that torch and literally lit itself on fire like a Buddhist monk in Vietnam. This interview was something else. But what I can't understand is why? Why did he do it? Why did he decide to do it? He couldn't even sit down with an American station first. He had to sit down with the British Broadcasting Channel. So we get this garbage interview from the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, aka the Crown State News. And if you hear, Biden didn't even make any real points. He just complained about Trump's presidency. During the interview, Joe Biden said he was, quote, disappointed on how Trump treated Zelensky in the Oval Office. Wow, Joe, really? The American people were a little bit disappointed that you treated Zelensky like he was some kind of drug addict's son. Maybe like some kind of drug addict son of yours.
Joe, I just got one question. To me, it seemed, and you know, just by what you just said, really sparked this memory for me. One thing that I noticed, certainly during the debates and leading up to the election, was a lot of times you weren't getting Democratic policies. A lot of times you weren't getting what they envisioned. A lot of times it was Democrats just complaining about Trump. And once
He's a Nazi.
As a Nazi, and once you get to a certain point, like, okay, he's really good at shielding everything and reflecting everything that we're saying. At that point, maybe they should have, again, started talking about what it was they wanted to do with the country, their vision, their policies. You never heard that, Joe. Yeah. And even all the way to this point where you're talking about this right here, it's not about anything besides Donald Trump. When Joe Biden was, the story.
The whole interview was about Donald Trump. The entire interview.
In my opinion, I think this was kind of the problem for the Democrats this time around, because they really didn't give you any idea of what they wanted to do.
David Hogg should contact you, and you should be a part of the DNC, because maybe you could help them get more votes. Because if you're it's pretty obvious. If you're saying it, come on. Why can't the Democrats see? Why can't the people that do this for a living?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just an average everyday guy. And I just, like I said, I never knew what the Democrats wanted to do if, in fact, Kamala Harris was elected. And again, to me personally, it just seems like that could have played a big part.
As a voter, as an American, Democrat, Republican, whatever, how Trump treated Zelensky in the White House with being kind of mean and throwing him out for being disrespectful, versus Joe Biden treating Zelensky like a drug-addicted son, where he just kept bailing him out with money, billions of dollars. What do you prefer? What school of thought would you prefer?
Either way you slice it, I mean, you do have to be presidential, and you know, some people think that one way was right, some people think the other way was right, and I can respect that. But you know, you do have to be presidential, and that was an interesting situation. It kind of caught everybody off guard, I think, Joe, when Zelensky came with the dress, you know, the way he was dressed in that. But
America needed that, I think.
I think so too.
So you bail Zelensky out with money. He complains about that. Biden also says he doesn't like renaming the Gulf of Mexico or the retaking of the Panama Canal, or Canada becoming the 51st state, Greenland, whatever. Again, these are just complaints. We're going to play some other quotes. Before I do, I really hope Jake Tapper watched this interview. He's going to be able to write a sequel to his book about Biden real soon. So let's play a few of these, or at least one. This is Biden talking about the 2024 race and him leaving and why. Please play his logic and his reason.
Did you leave it too late? Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered. We left at a time when we had a good candidate. She was fully funded. And what happened was, I had become what we had set out to do. No one thought we could do. And become so successful.
Is everyone asleep yet, or is it just me?
No, I'm going to stop now.
Cut off the. I mean, he said it didn't matter, and he said we had a fully funded candidate. Is that the only reason you stuck with him? Are you kidding? What you can't see, unless you watch the video, which I suggest you do, is how many times Joe Biden blinked. He reminded me of that Vietnam POW that used blinking to sign Morse code to Americans, that he was being tortured. Maybe that's what's really going on here. Maybe former President Joe Biden is actually a hostage and is being forced to do these things, and he's signaling from help by blinking oddly. It's just, you got to watch it. It's that deer in the headlights blink like a Looney Tune character. I need the sound effect. That's what I hear and I see. When he blinks. And he did it 100 times. The blink ratio is unbelievable. And then in an even more shocking move, former President Biden showed up today on The View. Yeah, audience. That went about as well as you can probably expect. The host asked Joe Biden about his mental decline, and he spent about a minute just babbling. And then Joe had to jump in and basically save him. They asked if he thought he would have beaten President Trump if he stayed in the race, and Biden said this. Yeah, he still got 7 million fewer votes. A lot of people didn't show up. So again, he said it didn't matter last time. This dude has no idea what's going on at all. But again, he can't even really speak or talk. I mean, just play the audio. Listen to him today on The View. A B to B to B to B.
The projects, the benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure? How do you lead the world without having the best health?
That's all, folks.
It's all, and that should be the end of Joe Biden. You shouldn't see him ever again if you're the Democrats. You should say, lock him up, throw away the key. This is all Looney Tunes. And he's going to look at the camera. Are you serious? He's the bird. He's like a weird version of what's Foghorn Leghorn, but just in slow motion and retarded. I don't. Did Biden go on these shows just to make Kamala and the Democrats look terrible? I don't know what the. Joe had to answer almost every question for him, and then wipe his chin pretty much after as he was drooling, sat there drooling like a dementia patient in a. Like you put a child, but it's an adult. You put a child like in a high chair and feed them, but like the geriatric version of that. Okay. So while former President Joe Biden is complaining about President Trump to The View and the British Broadcasting Agency, what is President Trump actually doing? He's getting trade deals done with the British. Maybe the BBC should have interviewed him instead of Joe Biden. So there's this US-UK trade deal. I guess it's expected to leave a 10% universal tariff in place and focus on future commitments so that the tariffs stay. What other victories did Trump have? Oh, I remember. Remember how Joe Biden wanted transsexuals to serve in the military? Right? Remember this? The transsexuals in the military?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Trump tried to stop the transsexuals from joining the military, but a judge said, no, you can't do that. I'm a judge. I don't care if you're the commander-in-chief, I'm a judge. Well, this week, the Supreme Court has finally spoken on that subject. And the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that Trump's transgender ban in the military is upheld. Thank God. I'm glad this went Trump's way, considering he's where are my notes here? Let me check my notes. The commander-in-chief of the military. Shouldn't he have the final say anyway? I mean, come on. Think about this. 6-3. This should have been a 9-0 ruling. I can't think of anyone more anti-gun than the left. And they want a gun in every tranny's hands? Someone with mental illness? They want to take someone with a mental illness and not only put an AR-15 in their hands, but possibly a grenade launcher, a real weapon of war. I mean, this was Joe Biden's plan, though, and he was running on this up until July of 2024. And this is also interesting. Speaking of Trump and Biden, and it's now being reported that, and I believe the scoop is this. The Trump administration is making plans to release the audio of Biden's interview with Robert Hur. In audience, if you remember Robert Hur, he was the special counsel who investigated Biden's handling of classified documents. And he raised questions about President at the time, Joe Biden's mental acuity. I really hope this isn't just a rumor. We need to hear that Hur audio from when he's questioning President Biden. We need to know the true cognitive condition of the President of the United States, who at the time, mind you, again, let's remind ourselves, he was running for re-election at that time. He was vigorous. He was sharp as a tack, according to everyone. He was running circles around KJP, who I forget who she is anymore. We need to know if Joe Biden was completely incapacitated mentally. And if so, hey, is that why his administration used an auto pen? And will this allow us to revisit those pardons he made his last days in office via that auto pen? I mean, they were literally, think about this. In 2023, 2022, 2024, the White House was literally rewriting transcripts. Is it so hard to believe that Joe Biden was basically a house plant that Jill had to spray every now and then? I mean, you hear it. He looks dead. He looks like he should be in the ground. Is there a tariff on dirt from another country? Is that why we're waiting so long to bury him? I don't know. What else could we get to? Oh, another story relating to former President Joe Biden. Remember that pier, Ryan? The pier that cost about as much as Akershire Stadium to build? Sure. So, yeah, new reports show that the pier was a complete and total and utter disaster with a capital D. It even got one soldier killed. It's sad. A new report shows 62 troops were injured during the mission. What kind One service member was medically evacuated in critical condition and died 5 months later. The pier also caused $31 million in damage to other equipment. My son could have built a better pier with Legos. It's still, the whole administration, you think about just things that pop in your head. It's still better, I guess, than what Biden can say for his charging stations. What was it? 8 billion, 7.5 billion, and about a dozen were built. A floating pier that ships were supposed to anchor to. For $250 million. Let's be completely clear. The floating dock, the stupid floating dock, did not cost $250 million. They installed maybe about a $1 million dock, and then the rest of that money out the back door into the pockets of politicians and other. That's how it's done. Again, we've said it 1,000 times. This country is just like the Tangiers casino in the movie Casino. Our tax dollars are being skimmed away by a criminal syndicate, and they're wearing suits, just like the guy going into the back room, putting money in a briefcase and sneaking out. No one knows. No one cares. There's so much money. What do you even notice, right?
We always say, how do these politicians go into politics with X amount of money and come out way more wealthy?
And they're getting paid not just dollars; they're getting paid in stock tips,
right? Like
Chuck Schumer, like Nancy Pelosi. It's not just, hey, here's $10,000. No, here's information that'll lead to you being wealthy. Imagine if someone told you about Apple. Imagine if someone told you all the government contracts X company would get in the next 10 years, and you invest and you make a 20-bagger on it. You put $10,000 in. Let's say you know something's going to be a 20-to-1 bagger in 3 years. Yeah. Bitcoin, anything. Would you put $1,000 in it today?
Absolutely.
Hold on to it.
Absolutely.
It's the holding on for dear life that's the fun part. But when you know the outcome, it's even more fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've probably invested in Bitcoin and stuff like that, crypto. So that's the way it is. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, we're going to move on to the biggest little country in the world, the Vatican City. Stay tuned. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items. The MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. Hey everyone, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about one of my favorite places to eat, Bowser's Restaurant in Monaca. I'm a big fan of their 2-meat plate. Sometimes I get it with the pulled pork, and sometimes I get it with ribs, but I always get it with their amazing brisket. Don't forget to try all their smokehouse sides as well. Takeout and catering available too. Again, that's Bowser's Restaurant at 1493 Old Broadhead Road in Monaca.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearms store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically, brought to you by So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Remember, whether you need your house washed, driveway clean, patio done, fences, gutters, you name it, call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured, and they offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood with a dirty Decker house. Call Dave at So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing today. All right, welcome back to the show. First segment, we were talking about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. What they did this week, their appearances in media. You know, Joe Biden obviously did an interview with the BBC, and Trump he dominated the British in a trade deal, and much, much more. Now we're going to move on. Chris Berman voice to the biggest little country in the world, Vatican City, a.k.a. the Eternal City, where the Cardinals have chosen a new pope. This is Pope Leo, the 14th? Pope Leo the 14th. And supposedly he's a registered Republican. I've seen that immediately came on across social media. However, around our audience, so is Liz Cheney, so is Adam Kinzinger. They're also, registered Republicans. So that means absolutely nothing at all. But there's a new pope. Let's take a look at some of his tweets, because believe it or not, this pope has been very active on social media, especially X. He retweeted someone named Rocco Palmo, and that person said, saying Trump's bad hombre line fuels racism and nativism. Cali bishops send preemptive blast on DACA repeal. He retweets a lot of people. He retweets Chris Murphy. To my colleagues, your cowardice act cannot be whitewashed by thoughts and prayers. None of this ends unless we do something to stop it. There's some other tweets he has. Let me see. He had one with JD Vance I got to find, and it was recent. He's very pro-immigration, which is not good. As far as religion, he's very pro-marriage, pro-family, stuff like that, pro-life, which is good. But again, the issue is he's tweeted criticisms of not only JD Vance, but also Trump's immigration policies. And I think climate change. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check on the climate change. But not good. Seems a little progressive. He is American, is from Chicago. Could that be a good thing? Again, will Trump take credit for the first American pope? I don't know, baby. America does now control the Vatican, I guess we could say.
One more thing, Joe, before you move on. I've never, as a kid, ever thought that I would one day see the president and the Pope tweeting out. Of course, we didn't have the technology as kids.
Crazy,
but
yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is wild. Colin Rugg put this out. He says, everything you need to know about Pope Leo XIV, born Robert Francis Prevost, born in Chicago, September 14th, 1955. So he's a young guy, not even 7 years old. His father was a U.S. Navy veteran who fought in World War II. His mother was a librarian. He completed secondary studies at the minor seminary of the Order of St. Augustine before earning a bachelor's degree of science in mathematics at Villanova. He speaks multiple languages: English, Spanish, Italian, French, Portuguese. He spent much of his career in Peru, serving as a missionary. He was appointed by Pope Francis in 2023 to recommend bishop nominations worldwide. He shared numerous pro-immigration posts to his X account in the past. He does oppose the promotion of gender ideology because it's confusing. It also seeks to create genders that don't exist. And he previously called out Western news media for fostering sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel. So, again, it's the immigration thing. If you were the wacky left, this would be the perfect pope you would choose for Trump. Except for, but you can't have everything. But immigration right now, I think they lost the tranny narrative. We'll just call it that. But again, Pope Leo XIV from Chicago. Where's that old tweet from JD Vance? Let me see if I can find it real quick. No, it's not on here for some reason. Maybe JD Vance needs to go meet this Pope in person. What do you think? So again, he's active on Twitter, recently spoke out against immigration like a month ago. He's a conservative when it comes to marriage and family. But again, I guess kind of a liberal when it comes to immigration and other stuff, climate change. But this is it. We have a new pope. And now we wait and see what direction the Catholic Church moves in. Hopefully, again, it seems like it could have been worse. It could have been people way worse. But again, we could have picked better ones. First American pope in history. The coverage. I'm slightly mad that the conclave was so short and we have a pope already, because did you see anything about the coverage, Ryan? It was.
You know what? I seen very little of the coverage this time around.
It was hilarious.
Was it?
For starters, some outlets were reporting that the Cardinals were watching movies to help them decide the next pope. Yeah. There were reports that Cardinals were actually watching the movie Conclave for insight on on the process of choosing a new pope. I have a hard time believing that they're watching any movies considering they're locked in a room. But
wow, yeah, that's
CBS, they had an interesting take on the Cardinals not being allowed to use cell phones or social media during the conclave. Ryan, audience, if you have children listening, earmuff them. Go ahead and play that audio, please. This is good. This is wild.
Or doing the one thing we know they're not doing is checking Instagram because their devices are all.
I believe the kids call it raw dogging it if you're going to go through a long period of time with no electronic device.
Oh right. Well, they're of a certain age, so they might be.
Raw dogging in the conclave is a wild thing to do, I'd say. You know the funniest part, though? Catholics are known best, or they're the most famous raw doggers in the world. They're known for raw dogging. And this Pope, I think, supports that kind of thing. So maybe CBS kind of had it there. If you're just tuning in, just to recap, CBS said the Cardinals are all raw dogging in the Sistine Chapel.
That caught me off guard. I can
Did it remind you as your time as an altar boy?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, moving on. In a related story, apparently the raw dogging was followed with brown smoke from the chimney. Just I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We need to Beavis and Butthead. It's not, he said raw dogging. Hey, Beavis. All right, let's just move on to so there's a new pope. What else can we say? There's a new pope. Good. Leo the 14th. He chose Leo, which is crazy because the last Pope Leo was one of the most conservative popes in the last like 500 years. Pope Leo the 13th, I think he was the first pope to be photographed, born in 1810 too.
Wow.
So, wow. Yeah. But yeah, new Pope Leo the 14th. We await which direction the Catholic Church is going to go in. All right. So we covered the Pope. We covered Joe Biden. We covered Joe Biden going on the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company channel, whatever. Trump doing trade deal with the United Kingdom, the British. Now, why not just stick with the British? We're going to move on with Prince Andrew. Did you hear this story, Ryan?
I have not, no.
Okay, apparently Prince Andrew was banging underage girls. It's according to a royal insider in undercover footage here. So John Bryan, a trusted advisor to the Duke of York, that's in case you don't know your royal lingo, that's Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, they claim that Prince Andrew lied to him about his involvement with minors in a video obtained by James O'Keefe and the O'Keefe Media Group. So after Prince Andrew's 2019 BBC interview, where he denied knowing Virginia Giuffre and famously claimed he was physically incapable of sweating, Bryan says he was quietly brought to the Royal Lodge, which is Andrew's private residence, to provide crisis management advice. Interesting, and I could play the video, but whatever. It's just accusations, but how crazy is it that this story drops? This story drops 1 week after Virginia Giuffre kills herself. And a month after Virginia Giuffre gets hit by a school bus. Wild times. Wild times to be alive. What else is... so there's that. We'll stay tuned for anything new on the Epstein front, if that ever drops, which Pam Bondi, we're still waiting. What else happening on the world stage? Shout out, you played Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. I don't know if we could, though. They're very, very strict with their what's it called? Copyrights. We got to cover India and Pakistan. So India released pictures of terror camps that it neutralized in Pakistan under Operation Sindoor. They say terror camps? Anyway. Terror camps in Pakistan. Anyway, okay. But I'm just saying, isn't that what we saw Israel say literally a few weeks, maybe a month ago when they bombed Gaza? There were literally Hamas terror camps in Gaza, and they bombed them. So who's paying for these terror camps? Is that the real story? I don't know. Brian Cates, he put this out on X. He said this. He said, Pakistan is a literal terrorist state. It's run by a globalist cult and plays a key role in the strategy of tension behind the forever wars and the forever conflicts. Yes, Pakistan has literal terrorist camps just over the border from which attacks are launched into India for the past several decades, including the last one about a week and a half ago. Today's events tell us Modi has gotten a green light to end this freaking threat to the country and his citizens once and for all. And he goes on to say this. Yes, they've been fighting for a long time, talking about India and Pakistan. Here's how the script has gone for the past few decades. Pakistan launches a terror cell into India to commit a horrific attack on civilians. India makes a measured response while NATO and the U.S. all scream at India to calm down. Then hostilities end after a lot of money changes hands in new arms deals. India has now broken the script and is not following it any longer. And that's from Brian Cates on X. It's an important situation to watch. Again, war between India and Pakistan has global implications, given both have nuclear arsenals. I mean, think about Pakistan. They have a completely unstable government. They have a history of militancy. So who's more likely to resort to nuclear weapons in a crisis right now? Iran? North Korea? It's Pakistan. Both of the other ones could happen. We're waiting on them, believe it, but it's great. It's Pakistan. I mean, India, they might accidentally fire a nuke at themselves, I guess, too. You know how Indians are. Well, thank you, come again. Reading this right now, Ryan. India has also successfully scammed Pakistani civilians out of millions of rupees using Amazon gift cards. Wow. I'm kidding. Come on. You got to ask yourself, though, who benefits the most? This attack comes out of nowhere. It was a terrorist attack on India. I can't remember how many civilians were killed. Out of the blue. And who benefits the most? China. Right after the U.S. implements tariffs on the country and they're crippled economically. I'm just trying to tie the pieces together. Could China have some kind of role in this? I don't know, but we're going to cover it. India, Pakistan. Hopefully, that would be the dirtiest world war ever. Oh my God. Can you imagine how disgusting? India. Ugh. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to cover a traffic stop that landed a Georgia teen in ICE custody. What's that all about? Stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Hey everyone, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about one of my favorite places to eat, Bowser's Restaurant in Monaca. I'm a big fan of their 2-meat plate. Sometimes I get it with the pulled pork, and sometimes I get it with ribs, but I always get it with their amazing brisket. Don't forget to try all their smokehouse sides as well. Takeout and catering available too. Again, that's Bowser's Restaurant at 1493 Old Broadhead Road in Monaca.
Listen to 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA this Friday morning in the 9 a.m. hour with guest attorneys Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly, and George. Attorneys LGKG specialize in auto accidents, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, motorcycle accident cases, and premises liability. The attorneys Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly, and George will be available to answer your questions during the 9 a.m. hour this Friday on 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. Talking about a lot today. The new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th. Also, Joe Biden did an interview with the BBC and The View, and it was exactly how you would expect it if you followed the 2024 election cycle, until he dropped out, of course. Also, we covered the upcoming war between Pakistan and India. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Now, also, if you want to call in and talk about anything, you know the number, 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. But now we're going to talk about immigration. So, from a traffic stop to ICE custody, Georgia student now in limbo, and her family wants answers. So, a Georgia college student faces deportation after running a red light. This is from the article. Police discover her entire family is living here illegally for years. I'm going to butcher the name. Zemina Reyes Cristobal, a Dalton State Community College student, was driving without a driver's license, but told officers she had an international driver's license. I never seen one of those. Is that the real ID she's talking about? Is there a language barrier? I don't know. International driver's license. They actually have those? Well, how does it work if you drive on one side of the road versus the other side of the road? Anyway, the officer who pulled her over attempted to speak to the teen's mom and the owner of the car, but, of course, neither of them spoke English. Remember, she wasn't arrested for not using her turn signal, audience, because that's what the media is going to say. She was arrested because she's here illegally. She's not an American. She could be anyone. She was pulled over for ignoring a no turn on red sign. She had no driver's license. What happens at that point to a person that is in fact a U.S. citizen? Audience, what happens to you if you get pulled over and you don't have a license? And say, oh, well, where's your license? It's suspended. Why? Oh, well, we have to tow your car. Maybe you go to jail. They want different rules for people that aren't U.S. citizens, and there are better rules than we have to go by. She doesn't have any legal right to be here. But again, she's driving without a license or probably without insurance. She has no permanent residency here. All these things make her legally detainable by ICE and even deportable, I guess. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But think about it. How is she getting money for college? Don't you need a Social Security card? How does the family have a business but not a driver's license? Explain that one. Do they pay taxes? How much money was stolen from Americans to give to this family? Are we even allowed to ask these types of questions, or are we just supposed to feel sorry for this girl? And for everyone saying this is the only country she's ever known, if she knew this country so well, then she would have known Americans get driver's license and insurance. I pay like $1,600 a year for my insurance. Why don't illegals? Why do they get to skate? And I feel sorry. This is the only country she's ever known. But again, blame the parents. Blame the system. You know, President Ronald Reagan's amnesty laws in the 1980s is probably what led to this crap. Unbelievable. Let's move on. We'll stick with immigration. This is from Libs of TikTok. Breaking. The convicted human trafficker who owned the van driven by deported MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia has reportedly told DOJ officials that he paid Garcia to transport illegal aliens from Texas across the country. This is the Maryland man the Democrats have been fighting for. It's from Libs of TikTok. Okay, I'll play devil's advocate. The guy who supposedly said this, he is in prison already, so maybe he will say anything to get a lesser deal, but again, how right has this show been on Kilmar Garcia? Now he's a human trafficker, and they wanted this Maryland man, this Maryland father, who's not even a father. They're saying that's not even his kid either. They wanted him back in this country. They want a human trafficker, the Democrats. The Democrats want a human trafficker back in this country. Are you really surprised? Be honest. Are you really surprised? You have MS-13 tattooed on your knuckles. They want him back in this country. They've been wrong about everything with this guy. They've been wrong about absolutely everything. Completely and utterly wrong. He's a human trafficker. Trafficking, who knows who was in that van if it was the person in the front seat was a woman. Does the Democrat Party not care about women being trafficked across state lines? Remember Kyle Rittenhouse? Oh my God, he brought a gun across state lines. This guy was bringing humans illegally to be trafficked illegally across state lines. Democrats want him back. Democrats went to another country to get that man back. And just, the left has their heroes. Kilmar Garcia, all of MS-13, Hamas, Luigi Mangione.
They have a type.
Yeah, there you go. Again, proof. Democrats support human trafficking. It's right here. Someone should have to come out and say something. We need to hear more about this. CNN should offer a correction. Maryland father. Okay, again, we'll keep it going with the illegals. Alleged illegal Venezuelan gang members, one as young as 12, have been arrested for attacking New York Police Department officers in Times Square. Did you see this video, Ryan?
No.
Please look it up. 12 years old here illegally? Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, 12 years. So these teens, I guess one was a preteen, 12 years old. They were arrested, but guess what? After they arrested, they're at the police station. They're here illegally. We don't know if they were trafficked here or what. ICE shows up at the precinct to take them into custody. They're not allowed. ICE wasn't allowed to take these kids into custody. Now, ICE agents showed up at a New York Police Department precinct where it was just one of the teen migrants busted in the mob attack was. Again, these kids attacked 2 cops in Times Square. So they go to the precinct, ICE does, where the one suspect's being held. But they were turned away. And that's according to Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch. She said that on Tuesday. So one of these teens was also arrested in August in a subway mugging. And again, he was released with basically a slap on the wrist. And he's out again. This is from CBS News. NYPD officers attacked in Times Square by team members. They're saying they're the Tren de Aragua gang. Oh, they're an offshoot of the Tren de Aragua gang. That's according to New York officials. I don't get it. Explain to me this narrative of illegal children in our country attacking police officers. Now, I can think of somebody. Do you see the left's narrative? And Ryan, I'm talking to you because you're just right in front of my face. The left's narrative with their children, let them go. But at the same time, what if Kilmar had them these kids in the back of a van, brought them illegally to cause ruckus in the country? They're 12 years old. What did you do when you were 12?
Right.
Gallagher's Monaca got robbed a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
We used to go. Did you ever think about robbing Gallagher's whenever you were 12 years old? No.
I went and I got my baseball cards.
You want to know why? Because we had parents. We had parents, and if we got caught, we were dead.
Joe, hey, let me ask you a question. Like a lot of times, with a lot of these the migration and immigrants, when you do it right, we could vet you and say, okay, these are the rules. This is the way we do things here in America. So for one, when people are coming over illegally, of course, that's illegal. It says it right in the word itself. But these people, we don't have any idea if they have any interest in abiding by our laws at all. So basically, when you let all these people in without even talking to them, anything like, which happened over 4 years, Joe, I mean, they could come here with no intentions on abiding by the law. And that you're seeing that in a lot of cases. Yes, there are a lot of law abiding people that are here. But Joe, I mean, again, if people are coming here with no intentions on abiding by our law, obviously right off the top, they're there illegally. You've already broke the law to start. And then again, now they're running all over the country. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they want to do, what their intentions are, what their motives are. And it just seems very irresponsible.
Why don't the Devons in New York have to answer for their these are theirs? The officials in New York City, not just the elected one. Why don't they have to? They're breaking the law. They allowed these criminal aliens not only to live here, but to live here for free in the Roosevelt Hotel. And now there's a lot of problems going on in our most populous city, New York City.
And let me ask you this. If you attack a cop, Joe, as a law-abiding citizen, guess what? You're going to go...
I could be shot.
Right. Absolutely.
And no one would care. No one would care. They would say good.
You run the risk of, either, getting beat up or thrown in prison or whatever the case may be. These people, not only one, are illegal.
Yeah.
Now they do this and they get off scot-free.
Let's say he stabbed one of the cops and the cop shot him and he died. Riots all over here. It's over. Summer of Love 2.0. There it is. And it's over. An illegal kid here who could have been trafficked here using Dem policies under a former Dem president. And it goes over their head. They'll take control of that narrative that a cop killed a little brown kid. And that's what they'll use.
Why the concept is never being caught, Joe? And the thing is, they say they're not for migration. That's a lie. We are 100% for migration if you abide by the law. Again, if you're in illegally, you've already broken the law as you're walking through the door.
American gangs at least respect the cops a tiny little bit because we're all in this together. Foreign gangs want us all dead. Do you see what I mean here?
Yeah. And how people could just let that pass like it's nothing. That's what's really scary.
This is going to sound... Would you be okay with martial law for like 2 weeks? If the 14 days to slow the spread, but for immigration, would you be okay with it?
I'd have to seriously sit down and look at every aspect of it.
Same rules during COVID. You really can't go out of your house, and it just lasts for 14 days to slow the immigration, and we get like 90% of the immigrants out of here.
Right.
The bad ones too, bad hombres. I would actually be in support. I'm not saying we should do it, but when you look at what we did for COVID, all these things we did for a little spooky virus, we can't do for people literally here raping our women and children and killing people and beating up cops and stabbing cops and attacking police. And we don't know if these little kids, how they were brought here. How did these little kids get here illegally? How? They didn't do a life raft. They didn't build some $250 million pier and sell it from the Gulf of America all the way up to Florida and get off. Makes no sense. How'd they get to New York? How the hell does the little Venezuelan Trinidad Aragua kid get to New York City? 12 years old. I can't even get to Beaver. I don't know.
And that's what gets misconstrued, Joe. And that's kind of what it's irritating is, the right is not against this at all. They just want it done to where things aren't going to hurt Americans eventually.
Yeah.
And, by these people coming legally, we find out who they are, find out, their background a little bit. Like anything you would do in your life. If you let somebody in your home, you'd want to know a little bit about them before you allowed them around your kids and your wife. Obviously, I think this would be on a more grand scale, but it would be thinking logically.
There you go. And that's the name of the show. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got a lot to talk about, including is the Democrats going to try to go after our very own John Fetterman? I don't know why they're turning against him. Actually, I do know why. We'll find out when we return here to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP.
Have you ever wanted to work in radio? Well, now is your chance. St. Barnabas Broadcasting is a network of 11 radio stations, and we are looking for account executives to introduce St. Barnabas Broadcasting and digital media to new prospective clients and grow existing ones. Experience in sales is preferred. Interested prospective candidates can apply by sending their resume to fsparks@beavercountyradio.com or by calling 724-444-JOBS.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM WBVP. Remember the number to call in, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Got a few more topics to talk about here. First one, we had a bill, and then apparently this is from Thomas Massey. GOP leadership quietly canceled the vote on the Doge cuts, which were set to happen this week. USAID, NPR, and PBS, they were all set to be cut, saving taxpayers a lot of money here. We all know NPR needs to be defunded, but the one we may forget, PBS needs to be canceled. And Ryan, did you ever watch CBS or PBS as a kid?
Of course.
Okay. That was in the 80s. That was in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. But don't give me the we have to save CBS. We have to save Big Bird. Don't give me the Sesame Street bull crap. My son watches Sesame Street. You know where he watched it? Guess, Ryan.
On his pad? Or
YouTube. YouTube on his iPad. We don't need PBS. Let me just read somebody. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Could watch that. Could watch that on YouTube. My son actually does watch it on YouTube. Arthur could watch it on YouTube. All these shows can be watched on YouTube. PBS NewsHour. I'd like to hear the news first before I decide if we should cut it. But again, we don't need PBS. We don't need to be paying for this. We don't need to be paying for Big Bird, and certainly not NPR. Get this on the floor and vote on this. What are we doing? All right, let's move on. Speaking of on the floor, it came out wrong. Trump just nominated Dr. Casey Means as Surgeon General. Trump said this: I am pleased to announce that Dr. Casey Means will be nominated as our next Surgeon General of the United States of America. Casey has impeccable MAHA credentials, that's Make America Healthy Again, and will work closely with our wonderful Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to ensure a successful implementation of our agenda in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. Her academic achievements, together with her life's work, are absolutely outstanding. Dr. Casey Means has the potential to be one of the finest Surgeon Generals in the United States history. Congratulations to Casey. Senator Kennedy looks forward to working with Dr. Jeanette Niesewalt in another capacity at HHS. I think that was who Trump nominated before he switched to Dr. Casey Means. He also says, thank you for your attention to this matter, as he always does. So this Dr. Casey Means, I'm excited about her. She's definitely, if you're a Maha wing of the MAGA branch, she's been on numerous podcasts the last few years, including Joe Rogan, talking about lots of stuff. Again, if you're in the Maha movement, you understand. Let me read one of her quotes. Health is getting destroyed in the United States, which we don't really talk about because it's not profitable to heal in this country. It's profitable to keep people sick and then drug them, cut them and bill them, which is what we do, which is what we learn how to do. What we have here is a disconnection crisis. And she's right. I'm excited for this pick. Again, big things happening at HHS. We needed a change of pace back there. So another headline, Trump today, quote, better go out and buy stocks now. Hey, Ryan, I don't know if he mentioned any specific ones. We were talking about them 10 and 20 bangers.
Yes.
How does he get... He has to be careful here. They're going to kill him because if the stock market goes directly up, and that's a good thing for Trump, the left will say he manipulated the market, blah, blah, blah. If it goes down, again, they give him a reason to just go after him completely and kill him. Did you see what he tweeted out that the market went down? And he tweeted out, I think it was like, this might have been this week. This is Joe Biden's stock market. And then immediately the market shot up. All the pundits, all the political pundits got on. The market shot up. And I think we've had the best April or something, the best 100 days of the S&P 500 or something since. But it just goes to show you, he made the media give him ownership of the stock market. When he said that, everyone was like, Trump's wrong. It's his stock market. And then it goes up. What do you do? Yeah. Again, I don't know. All right, moving on. John Fetterman. He's a Democrat from Pennsylvania. Maybe. We'll see. So he reportedly had a massive outburst during a recent meeting with teachers union representatives in Pennsylvania. This is according to the AP. Quote, he yelled, "Why does everyone hate me? What did I ever do? And everyone is mad at me." And at one point, he slammed his hands on the desk repeatedly. As the meeting deteriorated, a staff member moved to end it and ushered the visitors into the hallway where she, the one ushering them, broke down crying. Again, just like with Biden at the beginning of the episode, this is a few years too late. Where was all this reporting whenever we didn't know what John Fetterman's medical condition was? We didn't know if he had a stroke. We didn't know if he had a cognitive disability. All we know is within a few weeks of him raising his right hand and swearing as a senator, he walked out the door and committed himself to an insane asylum at Walter Reed. They had to take the strings off his famous Fetterman hoodie for weeks or months while he was in there. Shoestrings, no shoestrings, nothing. Remember somehow though he was still able to pen bills supposedly about East Palestine, Ohio, and that train wreck that happened there. But now that he's gone a little bit closer towards the center, we get all these stories about how he has some kind of mental issues. He's lashing out. He's pounding the table. I think he's doing fine now, if you want my honest opinion. A few years ago, he couldn't understand spoken language without a computer screen in front of him typing it out. Remember that? He needed the closed captions. Oh, yeah. And the news media said everyone loves closed captionings. Who loves closed captionings?
Right.
Give me a break. The only time I like closed captioning, like me and my wife have to have the volume on like 7 because my son's sleeping, and we were like, "What did they say? Because sometimes the music in the background music drowns out what they're saying when you have it so low." All right, our second to last story of the day. This is, I guess, a change of pace. Raccoon tries smoking meth pipe during traffic stop. Did you see the picture of this? Look up the picture.
No, I hadn't.
Hold on, let me see if I can turn raccoon meth pipe. So this woman was pulled over. Just look at the picture. See if you could. Ohio police find raccoon holding meth pipe during traffic stop.
Of course it was Ohio.
Why is the picture not coming up? This internet is so slow here. Hold on, I got to find the image. Yeah, there he is right there. That's not zooming in. He's literally in the front seat.
Yeah.
And he's sitting down. He doesn't have a seatbelt on. He does not have a seatbelt on. It's a gross car. There's a lot of trash in there. Maybe that's why the raccoon is in there. Maybe it's a pet raccoon. Maybe there's just so much trash that he went in there. But a pet raccoon with a meth pipe literally in its mouth. I don't know if our audience can see on the live stream. In its mouth, cut the eye of Ohio cops during the traffic stop. I guess the woman had a suspended license, and they discovered a huge drug supply in her car. This is on May 5th.
She should have just switched seats with the raccoon real quick.
Yeah, that's a good lawyer could probably get her off. Right. You look, the pipe, it clearly belongs to the raccoon. From the picture, it's not the raccoon's first time using that crack pipe.
Right.
Drug test the raccoon. I'm serious. The raccoon, I guess, even had a name. Chewy. Hunter Biden the raccoon. Hunter Biden the raccoon. But again, suspended license. She was pulled over with suspended license, and they found drugs in her car. Now, if she was an illegal alien, she should go free since it was just a suspended license. Do you see how stupid this is? But if you're an American, it's like, oh, come on. Why does it have to be like this? Why? Raccoon smoking meth in a car during a traffic stop. And then I just want to play one quick audio. This Mark just sent this to me. It's Trump talking about Pete Buttigieg and his husband. Let's just play it real quick.
Well, there are 3 or 4 of them that do it. And when they took over, Buttigieg, who has no clue, he drives to work on his bicycle with his, in all fairness, with his husband on the back, which is a nice, loving relationship.
I just feel like I'm at a stand-up comedy theater when Trump just goes off the cuff and just starts talking about someone and describes him and just,
like he's ready to start a roast.
Yeah. I feel like I'm at a celebrity roast of Pete Buttigieg. All right, let's talk about the Pirates for a second. Their next game's Friday?
Yes, they start that home series against the Braves like they do every year on Mother's Day weekend. For whatever reason, it just seems to always fall that way. Joe, but I have something very interesting for you.
Go ahead.
As of today, the Pittsburgh Pirates all-time record, just 8 games over 500. They are right now at 10,851 and 10,843. 8 games under 500. If they happen to go under, this will be the first time since 1903 that the Pittsburgh Pirates overall record was under 500. Look how far they must have been ahead.
Talk about turning the ship around, literally.
I mean, if you figure this past 33 years yielded the results that it did, look how far we were ahead. Now, today, we're 8 games under all time. Again, 1903 was the last time the Pirates were under 500.
But they probably have great cash flow considering they spent no money during that 33 years, last 33 years or whatever. So we could probably finally afford to buy a couple players, right? Watch, someone will come in, Elon Musk or something, who was at the Pirates or the Steeler game. Some billionaire will finally buy the Pirates and they'll get a salary cap.
Of course.
That's exactly what will happen right there. Paul Skeens, though, does he have a losing record with an ERA of literally 2.3?
It's right around there. Yeah, I haven't looked to see what it played out after his last game, but I'm sure it's either 500 or 1 game under. ERA is still looking good. But I think the big story today, Joe, they split ways with Coach Derek Shelton, and I think that's the least of the worries, to be honest with you. You don't spend any money to put a team together. Let's fire the coach who literally has nothing to do. He takes the guys you give him, puts them on the field. Yeah, there's not much strategy in baseball as far as, you put your best 9 guys on the field and you stink. How are you going to fire the coach?
You literally got 1 run in 18 innings.
Right.
The Cardinals they stink.
They're not good this year. You're right.
They're an average at best team. They're below average. And then you get 1 run in 18 when you got Keller and Skeens on the mound.
They have lost now, I think, 7 in a row, 11 of the last 12. They got swept 2 series in a row, and they have been shut out 8 times this year. They've played 38 games. They've been shut out 8 times, most in the majors.
So how is the Colorado Rockies so much worse than us?
You know what? That's a good question. I can't wait till we see them because I don't know how.
It's going to be like India and Pakistan throwing haymakers at each other.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. That's it for today. We don't have anything else. We're going to be back Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. Don't forget, though, the second week of June, we're moving from 3 to 4 p.m. We're going to be riding Jimmy Fallon's coattails. They're starting the second week of June, but until then, we're here 5 to 6 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays. Until Monday, have an excellent Mother's Day. I'm Joe Corsai, signing off for Thinking Logic here, 99.3 FM, WBVP.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP.